It is time for us to go into Sunraysia to get cracking, and it's been a few weeks since we've been able to get Dean Jardine on the line, but we have him tonight as the season for the senior footballers comes to a close. And Dean, how are you?
Going well, thanks, mate. How are you?
Real good. I guess the news that you played last week, how much notice did you get that you were going to play against Orimple? And then how did you coordinate training sessions to actually get out on the park?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a funny old year, mate. Obviously, I think we got told the second week out from the game that we were going to be looking like we were playing, and I think restrictions lift. So we trained the Tuesday night. I think we thought we were going to play that weekend, and then the Thursday we got locked down. So we actually had to cancel the training on the Thursday night because obviously quite a few of our guys are in Mildura. So by the time they get down to Ouyen, it's sort of 6 o'clock, and lockdown was starting at 8 o'clock. So, they would have to turn around and be gone by sort of 6:45 and make it home in time. So we actually had to scrap the Thursday night training just for numbers-wise. And then I think we must have got out on the after the weekend, I think. So I think we trained the Tuesday and the Thursday, and then, into the game on Saturday. So she was all pretty short notice, really.
Really tough ask for the players. And your Melbourne-based players are not able to come up. How many did you really then were missing that could have potentially played that just weren't allowed to travel?
Yeah, so we got 3 boys down there. So obviously, sort of been a bit of a tough year really for them. They've played when they've been able to, but there's been a couple of games where obviously Melbourne's been in lockdown and whatnot. So and then obviously Dean Storto was our other boy that would he only got 1 game in for the year because he was in Darwin. So just with lockdowns and airports and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Oh, really hard going. I tell you what, hard going enough. Luke Stanbrook got out on the park. He hasn't been able to do that too often this year. He's really had a tough season with injury. He kicked 3. Summer Hayes kicked a couple in the loss to Orimple, just the 8 goals, 6 scored by your side. Benny Mole, he's been coaching the 18s, but he's been playing really well this year. He's one of your shining lights, I think, through this year.
He has been, mate. Yeah, Benny's he's been super for us all year. He always is. You know what you get from him. He gives everything. So he's had a great year. He's played the majority of his footy across the half back line. We've lacked a bit of experience there. But Saturday he got thrown into the ruck, I think, about quarter time, and he was super for us in there.
Oh, great stuff. Dallas Willsmore. Timmy Gloucester, really a good player, and coming up from the seconds midway through the year, has made his mark again at senior level. Your brother is an absolute star off halfback. Brownie and Meady also got into the better players. The reserves, they started the season well, but through the fact of having so many players going up and playing into seniors, lost their way a little bit through the season. Orimple certainly made them pay in the game, 16-13 to 1-4.
No, the boys we had a tough day all round. Obviously, they started the year off really well. I think they won their first 3 games, but obviously, with injury and unavailability and all that stuff with the senior group, obviously, we're pulling guys out every week, and their side was changing every week. So, it ended up being a pretty tough year for the boys, but credit to them. They actually fought out the second half pretty well. I think they only kept Orimple to 1 goal in the third quarter Saturday, and I think they'd kicked 11 or 12 till half time. So they probably played really well the second half of that game on Saturday.
Certainly did. The 18-year-olds, it's been a tough ask, and again, the depth of Orimple has been unbelievable over the time. 22-15 to 3 kicks. It was tough going again for your lads. O'Shaughnessy back with a couple of goals there, and Mildy, the 2 Mildy boys, reckon might have even backed up and played some B-grade football too, the boys from Murrayville, Cresp and Booth and Munro.
Yeah, they did. That was young Jack O'Shan that chimed in with the goal kicking. Sam's still up in the seniors, so young Jack, he kicked a couple. He was really good. And, Mildy boys, they've been super all year. So Brock's played a few games in the seniors, and Kynan's played in the reserves nearly every week. So they've both had really good years.
No, it's good to see. And then down into the 16s, did you actually get a game off the ground here, or was it a scratch match situation?
Yeah, just a scratch match, mate. Yeah, just due to numbers.
And also the 14-year-olds, I reckon, if I look through your list, I reckon you only had in the under-16s about 8 or 9 players were named in that age group. And the 14-year-olds, similarly, a scratch match there for the kids?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. And as we have a look at this week, you've got the kids playing, the 18s, the 16s, the 14s, the 12s and the 10-year-olds. And Redcliffe's have agreed to come down and play at Blackburn Park, the junior grades. I think it's a terrific thing. The kids, they don't really understand, particularly the younger ones, exactly what all this other stuff's about and why we got the border thing and why somebody from Wentworth can't play. It's a little bit hard geographically to get your head around it, even for some of us oldies. So I think it's a great thing that Redcliffe's and Ouyen United have got together and said, let's play some junior sport.
Yeah, it's good, mate. Obviously, I think the kids are probably suffering more than anyone. Obviously, basically no sport for 2 years. I think our kids have played 10 games in 2 years. So it was a pretty good idea, I think, by the Ouyen committee that got together and said there's no restrictions stopping the juniors playing friendly. So. I think Redcliffe's got quite good numbers, so I think they were pretty keen as well. Obviously, give them one last hit out. So, but yeah, it'll be a good day over at Blackburn Park there. Unfortunately, our senior reserve guy, we only got 2 games at home for the year this year, so that's a bit disappointing. So it'll be good for the kids to get another game in at home, and hopefully, although there won't be points awarded, to hopefully finish up with some good wins.
Yeah, that'd be great. The kids there in the back of the car, how old are yours?
The young bloke, he's 6. And my middle girl, she's 4, and then the youngest one's nearly 2. So
they certainly are looking like the future of the Ouyen United Kangas is pretty safe, Dean, with those 3 going around in the future years to come. I want to ask you about the leading goal kicker. I think Luke Stanbrook and I think big Alexander Morrish, I reckon both scored 10 for the season. I reckon it'd be about equal for your goal kicking. In past years, you've recruited out of Darwin. I know that with all this COVID stuff, that's become virtually impossible. But, I mean, you look at your goal kicking and your injuries and so forth. To me, that's been a really big Achilles heel, just not having somebody regularly kicking that you can get as a focal point to kick goals.
It has been, mate. It's, obviously... I think 2019, we probably struggled in a similar area. Mainly due to injury. So obviously, Luke Sandbrook, he's our full forward. And, he's had a bit of a tough year. He done a quad early and missed most of the season. Then he got back and done his hammy before he was going to have his comeback game. So I think he's probably really only played 3 or 4 games for the year, mate. He was good Saturday for us, give us a bit of a focal point, especially the first half when we were fit enough and we were running all right. But and the other one is Brad Valance. He's been our centre forward for years, and he's had a bit of a tough year with injury too. Probably just at that age now where you start getting a few soft tissue injuries and whatnot. So our 2 main focal guys for the last few years have both had tough years with injuries, and guys pinch hitting through there and whatnot. So it's a pretty good effort for Scoop. He's Alex. He's a midfielder. So when the goal kicking from the midfield's not a bad effort.
Pretty good effort all round. I want to ask you about the kids. You've promoted Grace O'Shaughnessy. We've also seen go up young Hutland. He's been good up there. You've had Mildy. So there's been a lot of kids that you've been bringing up into your A-grade side, your senior footy side. This has been a good sign. And what would your comment be in terms of where you see the future, particularly next year with some of those kids?
Yeah, I think that's probably been our positive for the year, mate, is obviously them kids have come up and played important roles. So, so obviously we've had Sam O'Shaughnessy and Joel Grace come out of the under-16s and been really good for us. And they've actually both been rewarded. They're playing in Pioneers game on Saturday in Ballarat, against the Ballarat Rebels. So that's reward for effort for them 2 boys. And then, what you mentioned, Pate, obviously he's playing key position. He's sort of playing centre forward ruck for us. He's only 18. And then, young Mildy. Obviously, we've got Heath Smith sort of been playing a key role in the midfield for us. He's another one. He's only just turned 18. He actually played on Dan Coughlin again on Saturday and did a really good job. So, Liam Munro's another one that's probably really stood out across halfback. Just his ability to run and create off there. So, no doubt, looking forward to next year. Obviously, we've identified we need to pick up some key players. But obviously, another year under these kids' belt. A lot of them got a taste of it in 2019, and then another taste for it this year. So hopefully they're all aware now of what it takes, to match it at senior level. So I think if them boys can all put a big pre-season in, I think they could have a lot more of an impact next year going forward.
One probably last question, and this is something we've not talked about, I've not even mentioned this to you before, but I wonder whether or not Sunraysia and its grading with 18s, 16s, 14s, 12, 10, is it time for Sunraysia to look at maybe 18s, 15s, 12s and 9s or something? Is it time to go back to maybe 4 rather than 5 or even 3 key junior grades? And I just asked that question for the smaller towns like Ouyen United in terms of being able to get the numbers in each grade.
Yeah, I think so, mate. I think the time's come now. Like, obviously, there's sides that don't field 18s or 16 sides and whatnot. So I think there's probably a couple of clubs that have got really good numbers, but I reckon the majority would probably be all in favour. Even now with reserve numbers and that, it's getting harder and harder. So I think most clubs would probably be in favour of like a 17s, 15s and 13s down and, an unofficial under 11s or 10s. So I think it's definitely something that's got to be addressed. Going forward, I know this year it's sort of, you got kids doubling up every week for Ouyen in all them age groups, and it sort of gets to a stage where when you got 8 or 10 in the actual age group, is it worth playing, or you're better off just dropping out one and trying to make the other age groups a bit stronger? So,
yeah, I agree.
I certainly hope that. I think the club will definitely push for a look into it again this year to try and get something to happen there.
In the grades of the age. Great to have you on board, mate. Look forward to how the finals unfold in Sunraysia, and we'll certainly plug back in with you before the end of the season. You have a great week and get those kids off to where you need to be, and you have a great day.
Thanks, mate.